Hey everyone, this is Dr. Mark Schillinger, founder of the Young Men's Ultimate Weekend and Challenging Teenage Sons. So, I want to end this series of videos that we've been doing on consequences in a way that will inspire you to do them. And basically, it goes like this. When you give consequences that are positive discipline, meaning you're not doing it when you're angry, you're not punitive, you're not making shit up on the spot, you're so clear that you've thought enough about what the consequence should be that it will teach your son a lesson. When you're doing that in a good way, then you can respect yourself, not just now, but throughout your whole life. Because if your son's a teenager or in his 20s or whatever it may be, even 30s, even when he's in his 40s and 50s, if you've been a parent that's been able to connect with him and he gets that you love him and want to be his mentor, not his parent so much, meaning you don't do so much for him, that you're going to teach him how to do things. When you have that relationship with your son, then he'll always be interested in what you have to say. The way you're going to teach him now, while he's living at home, where it's way easier to deal with consequences than when he gets out there, the world's not going to be so kind. So the main benefit is that you will respect yourself. So the way that you get to respect yourself, I think, is that you have to have a way. If you don't have a way in this era of digital dominance and distraction, your children will be led astray. It's just what's going to happen. So let me take a moment to show you a slide. So the method that I use when I'm mentoring families, which means parents and their sons, is called the Right Way Method for Family Unity. It stands for 5 virtues: respect, intelligence, grace, humor, and truth. So I want to let you know that this method recognizes that there is no one right way to raise a family. Of course not. And I believe that in this era of technology and artificial intelligence, if you don't have a way, then I believe your children will be led astray. And that's not, I know what you want. And as you observe your children being led astray, what's going to happen? You're going to get more frustrated that you're not getting through to them. And that apprehension, that concern, your anxiety that gets communicated when you're trying to teach your son how to do something or inform him of what he needs to do, that anxiety is going to push him further and further and further away. He'll love you. He always loves you. He may not tell you that. Of course he loves you. And he may not trust that you know how to lead him to the promised land of independence. So there is no one right way. This is a little bit about what the way is. It includes these things like Eastern philosophy, Western psychology, personal growth, parent-child attachment bonding, positive discipline for sure, stress management, because the number one rule in my work is if you all can't relax to each other, nothing's going to change. And then there's a heavy tribal dose of family wisdom. I spent some time in Africa studying tribal wisdom, and it led me on a deep dive into what I like to call ancestral intelligence, which is the counter to artificial intelligence. In other words, tribes had a way to raise the children, everybody's children. So you need a way as well. I'll show you this slide here for a moment because I want you to get that these 5 virtues stand for something. And respect means to esteem with reverence or to hold in the highest regard. So my point to you is that if you want to get the main benefit, I think, of parenting, is to be able to respect yourself, knowing that you did a great job or you did your best. And that includes all the mistakes you're going to make and have made. You know you're giving your best because you have a way. Really, really important. So to hold in the highest regard. Now, there's parents that I coach that don't have a way, right? And if they don't have a way, then things get chaotic and disorderly. And so they start losing respect for themselves because they think they're bad parents. And again, that's going to be translated to your children. They know you love them and they'll start thinking that you don't have a way to teach them and that you don't have the confidence to teach them. That's not a good thing. So we want to make sure that you are respecting yourself. Really, really important. And hold yourself in the highest regard. Now, here's a beautiful thing. When your teenager sees that you hold yourself in the highest regard because you're communicating with calmness, clarity, brevity, and with the certainty that what you're saying is true for you about what they need to learn to make it out there, they're going to begin to respect you. Now, here's the game. The game is that you have to respect them first. And that's going to happen by the way that you speak to them, the way you stay calm with them, the way that you use consequences with them, the way you train them to get their executive functioning skills in order, all the things that you do, the way you celebrate with them. All this must come in a way that you're respecting them. And I've said that on the other videos about consequence. Now, the quickest way not to respect yourself is to have a place where your teen's pretty much doing anything he wants or she wants for that matter. I know it's harder than ever. Believe me, I have great empathy for parents raising teenagers now. I did it when it was relatively easier in the 90s and early 2000s. There was no smartphones then. There was still Game Boy and all these other things that my kids wanted to do. And it's nothing like the onslaught that you're experiencing now. So I encourage you to not avoid doing consequences because it's painful or hard. You just have to have a good way. All right. So that said, just want to appeal to you for a moment here before we wind down here with this. I know as a parent that there's nothing more valuable to me, nothing more goosebumpy, more tear-jerking than when I speak to my kids, and kids, they're 42 and 44. They're still my babies, of course. Can't treat them like that. And it's true. Of course, I love them like nothing else. The love of your children is so unique. When you see your kids and then they're saying goodbye, or you're on the phone with them and you say, love you, you know that goosebumpy feeling I'm talking about, love you. So developing that love happens not just because they're biologically your children, also it's because you respond to your biological obligation to get them ready for that outside world. And when you do that, you will respect yourself. It's a beautiful thing. It's not easy. It's a beautiful thing. Let me show you this, if I may. So there's 3 types of love. I like to call the first one you've already heard of, tender love. It's very beautiful. That comes from a parenting mindset where you're gentle with them, especially when they're younger. Tough love, that's when you're parenting them and you're doing firm things with them, and that may include consequences. And then there's what I like to call mentor love. That's where you're teaching them how to make it. That's your job now. So I like to say stop parenting and start mentoring, because before you know it, you're going to be like me. You're going to be in your 70s and they're going to be in their 40s, maybe 50s. And as your life winds down, as I said, you want to be able to respect yourself. Whether they did the things you asked them to do or not, you have to be able to respect yourself. You have to be good with you as you get older. The ultimate biological self-respect of a parent, as I said, is knowing that you gave your best so that you can walk off into the sunset and deep aging and dying, knowing that you're clean with yourself and your parenting. The ultimate biological respect that you get from your children as you age is that they know that you gave your best. Whether they did anything or not about it, they'll know that you gave your best, and they will always respect you for that. And when you have these 2 virtues from your children and that you give to your children, love and respect, I say that with goosebumps. I mean that. It's like, it's not going to get any better than that. And it takes a ton of work to be able to achieve that, which you can do. You just have to have a way. Can't be making things up. So in conclusion, I want to say about this series on consequences, I know it's hard to do. You got to do it. It's our biological obligation to get them ready. And as you know, if you've been watching my videos or listening to podcasts, I believe 3 things have to happen in order to have a teenager make it in the outside world. Number 1, there has to be a way that you're teaching them. Number 2, they need to be at a rite of passage event to activate their biological wisdom and energy to get out in a good way. And number 3, there has to be mentors. And by the way, at that rite of passage, you want to make sure that rite of passage organization like we are, Young Men's Ultimate Weekend, or anyone that you might send your son to, has the same way you have, or one that is very similar, so that you know who you're turning your children over to. And if you all have the same way, it's like turning your kids over in a tribe. At a certain point, children are raised by the tribe, and the tribe has the same way or values that you do. So, number 1, you have to have a way. The rite of passage has to have a way, ideally the same way. And number 2, rite of passage. Number 3, mentors. There has to be mentors. It's too hard to raise children on your own anymore. So you may have mentors like me. You may have family members. You may have neighbors who are their mentors. The main thing is that you want to make sure that those mentors know the virtues and behaviors that you know your teen needs to learn in order to make it in the outside world. Take a deep breath, calm yourself down, get back out there on the front lines, and make sure you respect yourself. Thank you for watching.